guys. This is my first official podcast by myself. That's a little nerve-wracking for me, but we're going to make it work. So, introduction to my show. I want to take this, my podcast to a whole different level. I want to talk about healing, my journey with healing, and what has helped me heal in aspects of life. I've lived with a lot of trauma, which has caused me to have a lot of trauma-based mental health problems. So I am still in my process of healing. I've had to take a little break for a little bit, unfortunately, but I will get back to that here real soon. Um, I also am Christian, so I have a lot of faith-based things that I have also went to for mental stimulation, mental health. On top of therapy, I'm a very firm believer on therapy because I've experienced a couple years ago something that damn near killed me in all due reality. And so for me, I think therapy is a good thing for people who accept help. Some people, therapy is looked really down upon, and it really bothers me because it helped me. And I, as a child, was forced to go to therapy, so I thought about therapy the same way a lot of people felt about therapy, but with the traumatic experience that I experienced. And I also, this podcast is going to be about healthy relationships. That's family, friends, that's all dynamics of relationships. I grew up with a toxic environment, so learning to be and have healthy relationships is something that I am going to continue to strive to do because I don't know what healthy looks like in all due reality. I know what toxic looks like. So that's something that I have been working on as well. So, but this is one clip for me that I'm going to take it to a whole faith-based thing today because I found this clip years ago and I watched this over and over and over again because I feel like when you're religious, you have to have somebody who believes in the same thing that you believe in. It doesn't work. Personally, it hasn't worked for me. So I just want to watch this video and break it down for my views of things. So let me try to find the right one. I'm gonna use this one actually. No, I'm not. I'm gonna use this one. I didn't watch this enough. I should know how to use this thing by now, and I don't. So come on, man.
Happiness is being the right person. If you find the right person and you are not the right person, what do you think you're going to do to that poor right person? Now, I'm not suggesting, please, I'm not suggesting that if you're not married or something like that, it's because you're not ready yet. Because all we have to do to disprove that stupid theory is to look at some of the people who are married. So married doesn't equal ready, okay?
I don't think you're ever truly ready to be married or have children. I think that that's an experience you have to go through to understand that what that's for and what that looks like for you. I think everybody is different. So, hello. Let me add the comments. I can't. Oh, they're on there already. What? It was already on there.
I could offer you many examples of that, starting with myself. But what I am saying is that it is important to God. It's as important to God that you have the right people in your life. But the only way you're going to have the right people in your life is if you will be the right person in your heart. That's the only way. That's the way you're even going to attract them to begin with. And that's the only thing you can.
So that leads me to say hot mess. Healed hearts. I'm not completely healed, but I am definitely healing myself. when all you know is toxic and toxic behavior, it's hard to unlearn learned behavior. But it is very possible to fix the habits that you have. Currently still in this stage of my life of learning. I think this is the healthiest relationship that I've ever been in. So learning to learn healthy behavior is something I am still currently see myself. I need a lot of work. Not saying that I'm a toxic person, but I feel like there's a lot of work that I still can still be done.
And control. I can always control whether this person comes into my life, but I can control the person that I am. You know how you have little memories from your childhood that are so random that you wonder how they're still up there from all these years, and you kind of wish you could delete them because honestly you need that space for more important things like your children's names and stuff that you forget sometimes. But I had a memory, I don't know why. I remember in 6th grade they gave us the Berkeley County writing test. I remember the prompt of the Berkeley County writing test when I was in the 6th grade, almost word for word. Pretend that you are on an adventure, or they called it a journey with your friends. And on this adventure or journey, you come across a valuable, unusual object. Describe the object. A couple weeks later, the teacher walked in with all of our writing tests and made an announcement. She said, I've never had this happen before in however many years of teaching, but every single one of you failed the Berkeley County writing test. We laughed. She said, it's not a joke. She said, you wrote beautiful essays. You went into great detail, elaborating on the journey with your friends, but that was not the writing prompt. The writing prompt was not to describe the journey. The writing prompt was to describe the object. All of you wrote essays about walking through the woods with your friends. Some of you traveled across the seas with your friends. Some of you flew through space with your friends. It was highly entertaining, but none of you described the object. The object of relationship, the object of love is not that somebody else would complete you.
Ooh, that.
I'm sorry,
right
Renee Zellweger, but
that is why I feel a lot of relationships fail. Because it is not your spouse's, your partner, your relationship. It's not the other person's job to make you happy. Now, they add to it. Yes, I can't say that they don't, but I can say that they do not control your happiness. And when you live with mental health, a lot of us, like me, I have been very honest about my diagnosis. We have favorite people, but it is not their job to keep us happy. It is our job to keep us happy.
You got it wrong. Your line was touching. It just wasn't true. Jerry didn't complete you. Touch your neighbor, say, you can't complete me. We teach this stuff. No wonder single people have their fists up ready to fight me when I want to preach about marriage. Because the way we preach and teach it, we teach it like until you get married, your life hasn't started. I only got one question to ask you. If that's true, how can you worship Jesus?
Woo! Now there it is. You have to start somewhere. Personally, I've had a relationship with God my whole life. So that's me. I think that I lost my way a couple times. We all tend to do that. Worldly things become some people's main focus. When I started my healing journey, I lost my fallopian tube and I had lost my baby and I was angry. I first started when my dad passed, actually. I was very angry at God. Why? Why did you take him? I wasn't ready. We had so much healing I thought we had to do together that I was just angry. So I got mad at God and my faith may have dwindled a little bit. But when I started going back to therapy, I saw myself reaching more for God and having that strong bond, because in all things throughout my life, the one thing that I feel has never wavered was my faith, even though I was angry and mad and couldn't understand some things.
We worship a guy who stayed single till they killed him. I'm not saying you have to stay single and be like Jesus. I'm a hypocrite to say that. But I'm saying if Paul would have waited to fulfill his purpose until he had somebody to complete him, we wouldn't have 23% of the Testament. And we teach it wrong. We teach it wrong. I've taught it wrong. We teach it wrong. In the book of Genesis, God's describing marriage. He's talking about Adam and Eve, and he says that, the man shall leave his father and mother and go be with his wife. And it says that the two will become one. Let me tell you what it doesn't say. It doesn't say the halves will become whole.
Woo, that part.
But yet we teach it and we treat it and we expect it like the halves are going to become whole. But I found if you go into a marriage half, the two halves are going to make hell.
And this is a conversation we had not that long ago on a different app is a relationship really 50-50? Nah, it's not. But that's how people are bringing it to the table now is I give you 50%. You pay all the bills. I do all the other stuff. That's not how a relationship dynamic actually works. 50-50 doesn't work. So I like the way that he said that.
Not whole. Let me show you what the devil wants to do in your relationship, because God said that the two shall become one. This is exactly what the enemy wants. So every battle you're going to fight, every argument about the dishes, really, it's the enemy's agenda is destruction. And so his strategy is division.
Because that's the only thing he can do is divide and conquer. If you have two people, that have lives, they've lived life, things are easier to come in and destroy.
And the enemy, I don't know if you believe in the devil or not, but the enemy, Stephanie's not going to be happy until he sees you like this. And what I just showed you, the Bible says that marriage is even a picture of Christ and the church. So what he wants to do to them, he wants to do to this whole church.
Separate. Because it's easier to do that. The devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy. So, let's not forget that.
And what he wants to do to them, he wants to do to you and your teenager, what he wants to do to them. And so his agenda is destruction. He comes to kill, steal, and destroy. His strategy is division. And here's his tactic, and this is the part I want to preach about. And I appreciate you helping me, because you guys are going to help me preach this sermon today. His tactic is offense. Satan has an offensive strategy. Because if he walked up to you, I don't know how I forgot your name already. Tell me one more time. Dan the man. Come on, it's Dan the man, everybody. And if the devil were not subtle, Dan wouldn't stand for his schemes. But the enemy is very strategic. And Jesus is giving us, really in Matthew chapter 5, kind of a playbook of how the enemy wants to work in your relationship. And I know Dan's not going to let him, but he's going to try. Now, he won't make an announcement. Hey. That
is one thing that I'm going to go to God first. I don't know about too many people, but I'm going to go where I know there's going to be help.
Hey, I'm coming to kill and steal and destroy. Because right now you just spend all those money on the flowers and the dresses and all the groomsmen and all that stuff. And I know it's been a couple of years, and that's good, because what you see in those first couple of years is you see that the enemy will usually start in a small way. Because if he announced...
They say year 5 and 7 are the worst. Sarah, be quiet. They said the year 5 and 7 are the worst years for married people.
I've come to divide. Dan the man wouldn't stand for that if the devil came in to divide. Come on, stick your chest out, Dan. Dan ain't having it. Dan ain't having it. But if the enemy can just, what he'll do, he'll just use the littlest offense. And what Jesus is doing in Matthew chapter 5, he's showing us how to deal with the offense so we can keep the devil on defense. How many want to keep the devil on defense in your life and in your family? Come on, church.
I don't know about you, but I do. I'm tired. I can only fight a battle so so much.
So, you guys, if you sit back down, I'll bring you back in a minute, but I don't want you to have to stay up the whole time. But just stay ready, okay? All right, we're going to come back.
I'm going to fast forward to the part that I really want to talk about, but that was very deep for me. I think that we always forget that we are not fighting the person we are with. We are fighting the problem. And I think that is our biggest issue when it comes to relationships. Our partner is not supposed to be a problem. We all, like I said, have issues. We've all experienced life. We've all had traumas and whatever.
And you're so concerned about the little speck in my eye. Meanwhile, while you're walking around your big old plank, just whacking them on the head, just causing distraction, division, and all this stuff. And it's the contrast between the small things and the big things. And there are times that a big offense, there's not a week that goes by. Holly, would you agree that somebody doesn't call me for counsel that's going through a marriage situation like a divorce, a separation? Buck, is this true? It's not a week that goes by in another pastor, maybe a situation in the church. And I get to talking to them about what happened. And if you can go back far enough, you find that every plank is made up of a lot of specks. And to me, that's the heart of Jesus' teaching. I really didn't read you the whole passage because I want to break it down and show you how it happens. He said it could be something as small as a word. Now, write this down. The closer the relationship, the greater the opportunity.
When you're stronger together, the enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy. So, of course, that's going to be when you're doing good things and you guys work great together, the enemy comes even harder.
And that goes both ways. The closer the relationship, the greater the opportunity for intimacy. However, the closer the relationship, the greater the opportunity for offense. That's why nobody can make you really mad like somebody that you really love. Really. Nobody can hurt you like somebody that you've given your heart to.
Clarification, I didn't give it. He stole it, but we're not going to talk about it.
No, nobody. And I've asked the question a lot of times of people, and really in my own mind, I've seen people that were so loyal to each other. And if you would have asked me 10 years ago, who is most likely to ever have kind of an enemy relationship, or who's most likely to be a divorce, or who's most likely to not be speaking to each other. And some of those very same people, just in the last year of my life, and I've watched some things happen that surprised me. You kind of, every time you see it, you ask the question, how did we get here? Did you see how big Dan was smiling over Stephanie? Now, they're going to have a great marriage and all of that, and it's going to be awesome. But you ask the question, how could somebody who had that same hope, that same smile, barely stand to be in the room with somebody 2 kids later? And it happens, and there's all kinds of ways that it happens. I know there's compatibility, and I know that it's not always something that you can fix, because it takes 1 to forgive, but it takes 2 to be reconciled. And I guess I want you to know that my goal today isn't to so much do an autopsy of anybody's mistakes, but just to show you something that happens. It always happens 1 offense at a time. Usually when I see something in someone else that makes me angry, offended, it's because it represents something that's in me.
I need you to say that one more time, because I think this just explains so much.
At a time. Usually when I see something in someone else that makes me angry, offended, it's because it represents something that's in me. So I told you there were 2 tools, and there are, when it comes to the relationships that matter the most, and when it comes to the things that offend us and other people, because everybody has issues, and most of us have a subscription. You know what a great dating conversation would be? What kind of crazy are you?
I think that's a good question. I think that if everybody came in with their baggage and suitcases open, there'd be a lot less divorce.
Because I can't tell from this distance, but if I get close to you. But you know, all these issues, you got to decide, am I going to focus on theirs or mine? Because I think the key to this thing of loving the Lord our God with all our heart, with all our soul, with all our mind, and with all our strength, and loving our neighbor as ourselves, sometimes you got to put down this and pick up this and just ask God, so Lord, what is it that you're trying to teach me? Or what is it that I can change? Because I tried changing Charlie and Charlie won't change.
You got to work on yourself. You cannot change other people. You cannot fix other people. Listen, I've tried a lot in my life to help and fix other people, but you cannot help or fix anybody who does not see a problem with their behavior.
So here I am, Lord. And in the words of the King of Pop, if you want to make the world a better place, where are you going to start? Sometimes you've got to start with your own self. And God says, you can't even help the people that you love when you're infected with the very issue that you're trying to solve. So it's love the Lord your God. That's one half. But it's also love your neighbor as yourself. That's the other half. You can't have this half right and not have this half right. You can't treat people like garbage and worship God until you have received his love freely. God has given us another way to deal with offense.
I think this is the best way. This is the part that I really wanted to get into quickly, because I think that this is what people who are in relationships forget.
If only we could find an example. Somebody who had every right to be offended. Of somebody who had every right to hold it against us. Of somebody who had every right to stand at a distance, but opened his arms and said, this is the way of relationship. And the Lord gave me a real specific word for somebody who needs reconciliation in your relationship. It's very simple what they have to do. If they're going to stay like they started, if we're going to get back to where we were, we're going to have to learn. Watch this. This is very profound. It's deep. You're going to miss it. This is what you're going to have to learn. You got to learn to drop it.
And let it go. Have the conversation. And this is something that I still need to work on myself, and let it go. You don't hold on to that. You have to let it go.
You got to learn to drop it. And I don't mean suppress it. I don't mean you don't deal with things after they happen. But after you've had the conversation, Dan, I like pancakes on my birthday, then drop it. Touch somebody, say drop it. I mean the moment the offense, because you can't always control what's handed to you, but you can control what you do with it. So what are you going to do with the offense? Come on, Dan. You can't choose anybody else's actions. The enemy wants you to drive it down deep. You know, he wants you to think about it and miss all the reasons that the person has worked their way into your life, and miss all the things they've done for you. And he wants to drive it, but God says, drop it. I believe that there are some things that we need to drop tonight. In fact, Jesus said, this is so important, that if you are in church at the altar offering a gift and a sacrifice, but the primary relationships in your life are dysfunctional and need reconciliation, you can't even properly connect with God unless you drop it. Do it again, Dan. Drop it. Every time they do it, I want you to reinforce it. 1, 2, 3, drop it. What are you going to do when they when they don't acknowledge you, when they don't notice you, what are you going to do? What are you going to do when they are too busy to show you the love and affection, but you know that they're trying as hard as they can to? You gotta, I'm telling you, being married, being in a close relationship is about not how quickly you can get offended, but how quickly you can get over it. Hey, thanks for stopping.
And I think that's where we forget. We forget that the relationship and the people that we have relationships with are going to offend us, are going to say things we don't necessarily like. But we have to learn to deal with the problem. I know that I sometimes say things that my partner doesn't like. And, you know, it comes to have the conversation and let it go. I have a really hard time with letting things go. And it's something that I have been working on for a while now, is I overthink and overanalyze everything, things that really are not important, but to me, in the moment that they're important to me. So I think that what I take from this video, and I've watched it a lot, and sometimes I just need to refresh my mind, is that when you're in a relationship with somebody, my thing is, you are not fighting your partner. You're not fighting your spouse. You're fighting a problem. Even though it may not be a small problem to you, it may be a bigger problem to your partner. And accountability is something I think that we all should have. And when people lack accountability, and we all fall short, of course, not everybody is perfect, but we need to have accountability in our everyday lives, not just when it comes to our relationships, when it comes to friendships, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to anything, job, work, whatever. Being accountable for your actions. I also have noticed something for myself personally in my everyday life is not everybody's going to go with you into the next stage of your life. And that is hard for a lot of people, but we have to understand where we're going. They may not be able to come, and it may not make sense to us why friends, family, whatever the case may be, they're not coming with you in the next chapter of your life. And it can be hurtful and it can be painful. But with that being said, everything, you remember, your life is already written. So everything that is going to happen is going to happen. I also know that people come and go. I've also learned that, and this is in a friendship, sometimes where people are at in their lives aren't necessarily where you're at. And that is okay. It is okay to let go of people. If they come back, then hey, that's great. But if they don't, they don't. We all just have to remember, in every relationship in our life, the problem is the problem. It's not the person. And that's what I take from this. You know, have faith in whatever you believe in, but morely have faith in yourself, because it is not somebody else's responsibility to make you happy. It is your responsibility to make you happy. It all starts within yourself. And I think that we miss that. A lot of people get into relationships and think, hey, this is my partner. They're supposed to do things for me. No, they're not. And I think that when people come to the conclusion that happiness starts within yourself and you have to reach for the right place for you. I don't push, and I'm not going to push my beliefs or the way that I think on other people. I really think that find you whatever works for you. For me, it's faith. And in the Bible, it says you just only have to have a faith of the mustard seed. It only takes a little bit. So, you know, as I continue to go through this journey with you guys, was just my introduction, and I really feel like this video today was needed to be played. I don't know why, but it did. I haven't seen this video in like 2.5 years. And so I just, maybe a reminder to myself. But yeah, I'm going to end it here. I'll be back probably next week, and we'll have more conversations about what my healing journey looked like. I didn't want to go too deep for my first episode. I think next week will be a little bit more deeper, but we will end it there. Y'all have a good day.
This motherfucker is locked.
Talking, I'm in love, baby.